The lunch tray hit the floor with a crash that silenced Roosevelt High's cafeteria. 400 students looked up as Tyler Reed stood over Talia, his red Letterman jacket catching every phone camera's light. His hand was still extended from the shove, his signature smirk broadcasting to 24 live streams. "Oops," Tyler announced to the crowd. "Scholarship girl can't even hold a tray." At Roosevelt High in Douglas County, Colorado, Tyler Reed doesn't just break rules, he writes them. Wrestling captain, school board member's son, the red jacket that makes teachers look away. But Talia's fall wasn't clumsy. Her shoulders stayed level. Her breathing never changed. The way she caught herself, one hand flat, weight distributed, knees bent at exactly 90 degrees, that wasn't panic. That was training. Tyler leaned down, voice dropping to a threat. "You've got until Friday lunch to fight me or transfer out. Your choice, scholarship girl." The crowd waited for tears, for pleading. Instead, Talia's eyes tracked something else. The security camera angle above Tyler's head. The phones recording. The witnesses. She said nothing. In 20 minutes, everything they think they know will change. The cafeteria erupted in chaos. Jake Morrison, quarterback and Tyler's loyal enforcer, held his phone high, capturing every angle. Madison Pierce, daughter of the district's most expensive lawyer, was already typing on her phone. Within seconds, #ScholarshipLoser started trending among Roosevelt High students. Talia knelt to collect the scattered tray pieces. Her hands didn't shake. Her movements were efficient, methodical. As she photographed the spilled area with her phone, documenting the floor, the witnesses, the angle, students whispered, "Is she taking selfies right now?" She wasn't. She was building a case. 3 months earlier, Talia had arrived at Roosevelt High wearing a worn backpack, light freckles visible across her cheeks, her long orange hair styled into 2 tight side braids with a clean center part, her light blue knit sweater layered over a white shirt, and classic blue jeans screamed working class. After school, she waited tables at Mario's restaurant. Scholarship student, outsider, nobody. Or so everyone thought. Near the cafeteria exit, Ethan Brooks, student council vice president, watched silently from his table. He made a note in his phone, expression unreadable. Talia stood, collected her things, and walked toward the door. Her posture remained perfect despite the humiliation, and she chose the exit path with the best camera coverage, not random, calculated. Ms. Rodriguez, one of the few sympathetic teachers, caught up with her in the hallway. "Talia, do you want to report this? I saw everything." Talia's expressive green eyes met hers. "I'm documenting everything, Ms. Rodriguez. Everything." The phrasing struck Ms. Rodriguez as odd. Not, "I'll tell someone," not, "I'll report it." Documenting, like a professional. By third period, Tyler's group had escalated. They cornered Talia at her locker, blue metal, number 217. Jake leaned against the adjacent locker, arms crossed. Madison filmed on her phone. Ethan stood watch at the hallway intersection. "My dad donates 6 figures to this school every year," Jake said, voice loud enough for passing students to hear. "You're here on charity." Madison zoomed in on Talia's worn sneakers. "This is going to get so many views." Talia pulled a small notebook from her backpack. She wrote down the time, 10:43 a.m., the date, and 3 names, Jake Morrison, Madison Pierce, Ethan Brooks. Tyler grabbed the notebook. "What's this, a diary?" "It's a record." Talia's voice was calm, almost clinical. "Colorado is a one-party consent state for recordings." The hallway went quiet. A few students pulled their phones back, suddenly uncertain. Tyler's smirk faltered for half a second. Lawyers are expensive, scholarship girl. He tossed the notebook back and walked away, but something in his swagger had shifted. Madison lowered her phone slightly. They'd expected tears. Instead, they got legal terminology. Talia's phone buzzed as she returned to her locker. An encrypted message flashed on the screen. Day 1 confirmed. Continue protocol. A freshman passing by caught a glimpse of the message. What kind of app is that? Talia closed her phone without answering. By Wednesday, the escalation had reached what Tyler called Phase 2. The hashtag scholarship loser had 2,300 local shares. Madison's Instagram story featured side-by-side photos. Talia's cheap clothes versus Madison's designer outfits. 500 likes in 10 minutes. Talia arrived at her locker that morning to find "Go Home" spray-painted across the blue metal. Her backpack's contents were dumped across the floor. Notebooks, pens, a professional-grade camera that seemed far too expensive for someone working minimum wage at a restaurant. She didn't cry. She didn't yell for a teacher. She photographed everything. The graffiti, the scattered belongings, the angle of the mess. She zoomed in on the spray paint's specific brand. She captured the locker numbers of potential witnesses. Methodical, systematic, professional. By Thursday, a new rumor had spread. Talia was caught stealing from gym lockers. Madison's mother, a prominent lawyer, was investigating. The accusation was baseless, but at Roosevelt High, Madison's family name carried weight. That afternoon, Talia worked her shift at Mario's restaurant. Her manager, Tony, noticed the bruise forming on her wrist from when Tyler had shoved her into the locker yesterday. "You okay, kid?" "I'm fine." She adjusted her grip on the serving tray. No wince, no complaint. That evening, in her small apartment across town, Talia sat at a desk covered in organized folders. Each was labeled by date, incident type, and witness names. She opened her laptop and reviewed the files. Photographs numbered in sequence, audio recordings with timestamps, video evidence sorted by location. Her phone rang. She answered, voice professional. "Yes, I'm following standard procedure. Timeline is on track. 6 months of data collected." The voice on the other end was male, authoritative, but the words were inaudible to anyone else. "Understood," Talia said. "Evidence package includes 12 victims, administrative communications, financial records linking donations to policy changes." She ended the call and returned to her work. On her laptop screen, folders labeled Roosevelt HS, incident reports, witness statements, pattern analysis. This wasn't the work of a scared teenager. This was an investigation. Friday morning arrived with anticipation crackling through Roosevelt High's hallways. Gym class, second period. Tyler had been building toward this all week. Coach Patterson, a former military man in his 50s, ran the class with discipline. Today was free play, dodgeball, basketball, open gym. Translation: minimal supervision. Tyler waited until Talia was across the court. He picked up a basketball and threw it directly at her head. What happened next made Coach Patterson freeze mid-whistle. Talia's head tilted 3 inches to the left. The ball missed, but it wasn't luck. Her hand had already been moving to intercept position. Fingers spread in a defensive guard that dissolved the moment the ball passed. Combat reflexes, trained response, muscle memory that couldn't be faked. Coach Patterson walked over slowly. "Torres, where did you learn to move like that?" Every student in the gym went silent. He'd used her last name, Torres. Not scholarship girl, not new student. Torres. "Just lucky, Coach," Talia said quietly. That wasn't luck. His eyes narrowed with recognition. That was training. The bell rang before he could press further, but as Tahilia left for the locker room, Coach Patterson pulled out his phone and typed a name into the search bar. Carlos Torres. The results made him sit down. If watching Tyler abuse his power makes your blood boil, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about students who document every single move and fight back the right way. By lunch on Friday, the entire school knew something was coming. Tyler's final video had posted that morning. Scholarship girl, cafeteria, today. Bring your camera, let's make it viral. Fourth period before lunch. Talia sat in the back of history class wearing her light blue knit sweater, her orange braids perfectly smooth. Her backpack sat beside her desk, unusually full. Across the room, Mike, the school security guard, a former Army sergeant in his early 50s, passed by the classroom. He made eye contact with Talia through the door's window and gave the smallest nod. All cameras operational. You're covered. The lunch bell rang at 11:45 a.m. 200 students flooded the main hallway between the cafeteria and the gym. Phones were already out. Live streams had already started. Tyler stood in the center of the hallway, red Letterman jacket bright against the blue lockers. Jake and Madison flanked him like sentries. What do you think Talia's real background is? Drop your theories in the comments below and share your own school experiences. The crowd parted as Talia walked forward. She'd changed into her blue athletic outfit after gym class. Practical, fitted, designed for movement. Her backpack straps were adjusted precisely. Her breathing followed a controlled 4-count pattern that anyone with military training would recognize immediately. Tyler cracked his knuckles. Last chance. Fight or pack your scholarship and leave. The crowd began chanting. Fight! 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 Madison held her phone high, smile vicious. This is going to break 10,000 views. Talia said nothing. She simply adjusted her backpack one more time and took 3 steps forward. Tyler's right hand clenched into a fist. And somewhere in the crowd, Coach Patterson pushed his way toward the front, phone in hand, a name still glowing on his search results. Carlos Torres, legendary self-defense instructor, former Special Forces, daughter 1, name Talia Torres. Wait! Coach Patterson started to shout, but Tyler had already swung. The punch came fast. Tyler's fist cut through the air, aimed directly at Talia's face. 200 phones captured the moment from every angle. What happened next would be replayed 50,000 times by midnight. Talia's body moved with precision that defied explanation. Her right leg swept up in a perfect defensive flying kick. Textbook form, zero aggression, pure redirection. Her foot connected with Tyler's extended arm, deflecting the trajectory without causing injury. Her body rotated mid-air with control that took years to develop. Tyler froze, completely froze. His fist hung in the air, redirected harmlessly to the side. His expression shifted from confidence to confusion to something close to fear. The entire hallway gasped. Someone dropped their phone. The sound of 200 students holding their breath was deafening in its silence. Talia landed perfectly balanced on both feet, weight distributed, knees slightly bent. Her orange braids hadn't even shifted out of place. Tyler stumbled backward. His phone fell from his jacket pocket, hitting the floor screen-up. The display was visible to everyone nearby, a recording app still running, a group chat titled Problem Students, and a message thread with Principal Dawson clearly visible. Dawson says handle the girl quietly. Reed family expects results. Jake reached for the phone, but it was too late. A dozen students had already screenshot the evidence. Talia's backpack swung open from the momentum of her movement. Documents spilled across the hallway floor. Notarized witness statements, legal forms with official letterheads, contact information for the Colorado Department of Education, Title IX violation reports. Coach Patterson broke through the crowd, phone still in his hand. "That's Carlos Torres's daughter. Holy cow! I trained with him in '89. The whispers exploded. "Who's Carlos Torres? That self-defense legend from the military? Wait, she's been undercover this whole time?" Talia knelt calmly and picked up a badge holder that had fallen from her backpack. She held it up for the crowd to see. Education Justice Initiative, Student Rights Investigator. Name, Torres Talia. The hallway erupted in chaos. Madison's phone was shaking in her hand. "This isn't possible. You're just a scholarship student." "No." Talia's voice cut through the noise with authority that silenced 200 students instantly. "I've spent 6 months documenting systematic civil rights violations at Roosevelt High. 12 victims. Administrative complicity. Federal jurisdiction." Tyler's face went pale. "My dad will sue you into—" "Your dad is on camera, threatening a federal investigator's daughter. That's obstruction of justice." Talia pulled a tablet from her backpack. "I have time-stamped videos of every incident. Audio recordings of administrators dismissing complaints. Financial records showing Reed family donations tied directly to policy changes that protect bullies." Mike, the security guard, stepped forward from the crowd. "I've been providing camera access for the investigation. Everything's documented. Every hallway, every classroom, every dismissal from the principal's office." VP Richardson pushed through the crowd. "You can't film on school property without Colorado single-party consent law." Talia's voice was steady. "I can, and I did. Every conversation, every threat, every time an adult in authority chose donor money over student safety." Understanding your rights under Title IX and federal civil rights law is crucial for every student. Educational resources and legal aid services help families navigate school district policies when institutions fail to protect students. Principal Dawson arrived, slightly out of breath. "This is highly irregular. You'll need to come to my office and—" "No." Talia held up the tablet. "You'll need to speak with state investigators. They're already here." As if on cue, 2 adults in professional attire entered the hallway through the main entrance. They wore credentials on lanyards, Colorado Department of Education, Civil Rights Division. "We're here for Torres," the woman said, "and we'll need to speak with Principal Dawson, VP Richardson, and several members of the school board." Talia handed over a hard drive. "Comprehensive documentation, 12 victims prepared to testify. Administrative communications, financial analysis, pattern of behavior spanning 2 academic years." The investigator took the drive. "We'll need to interview witnesses. I have signed statements from 14 students." Talia pulled a folder from her backpack. "All notarized, all voluntary, all desperate for someone to finally listen." A freshman girl stepped forward from the crowd. Emma, barely 5 feet tall, with tears streaming down her face. "I have recordings too, from last year. Tyler and his friends made my life miserable. I tried to report it. Nobody listened." "I'll listen now," the state investigator said gently. 3 more students came forward, then 5 more. Then a teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, holding her own folder of documentation. 3 years, Miss," Rodriguez said, voice breaking. "I've kept records for 3 years, every complaint I filed. Every time I was told to let it go, or boys will be boys, or the Reed family is important to this school, nobody would listen. The hashtag trending on Roosevelt High phones shifted in real time. Scholarship loser disappeared. Justice for Roosevelt took its place. Tyler, Jake, Madison, and Ethan were escorted to the principal's office by the state investigators. Tyler's red Letterman jacket, once a symbol of untouchable power, now looked like a target on his back. The investigators required immediate statements. Tyler stammered through an apology that satisfied no one. "I didn't mean, I was just, my dad will fix this." "Your dad can't fix federal civil rights violations," the male investigator said flatly. Madison's social media empire began crumbling within hours. 3 sponsors dropped her. Her college scholarship was placed under review. The video of Tylea's defensive kick went viral beyond Roosevelt High. 50,000 shares by 3 p.m., 200,000 by evening. Jake lost his football captaincy. Coach Reynolds benched him pending investigation. "We don't protect bullies on my team. I don't care whose son you are." Next week's investigation takes us to Westfield High, where the corruption runs even deeper than anyone suspected. Ethan Brooks, student council vice president, resigned that afternoon. His statement was simple. "I stayed silent. I watched it happen. I'm complicit. I'm sorry." Principal Dawson was placed on administrative leave by 4 p.m. The school board called an emergency meeting for Saturday morning. By Friday evening, the consequences were cascading faster than anyone could track. An emergency assembly was called for Monday morning. The district superintendent addressed the entire school, promising policy review, external oversight, and accountability. "What happened here is unacceptable," she said. "Roosevelt High will implement mandatory reporting protocols, anonymous tip lines, and third-party investigation procedures. No student should ever feel unsafe. No family should ever feel powerless." Mike was promoted to Director of School Safety. A new student advocacy position was created. Ms. Rodriguez was appointed to lead it. The community impact spread beyond school walls. A parent town hall that Tuesday night filled the auditorium to capacity. Working-class families finally spoke up. Wealthy donors faced questions they'd never had to answer. How many kids had to suffer so our kids could get away with anything? One mother demanded. Local news coverage turned regional, then national. Roosevelt High scandal exposes systematic bullying protection ran on 3 major networks. When donor money buys immunity was the headline in the Denver Post. School board elections suddenly mattered. Robert Reed, Tyler's father, announced he would not seek re-election. 2 other board members resigned. The student body culture shifted. Peer support groups formed. Students who'd been silent for years started speaking up. The scholarship loser hashtag was replaced by Stand with Victims. Ms. Rodriguez found Talia in the library a week later. Tears streamed down the teacher's face. 3 years I tried. 3 years of filing reports that went nowhere. You did it in 6 months. You did the groundwork, Talia said quietly. I just had resources you didn't. District-wide policy reform followed within 2 weeks. All schools in Douglas County would implement the Roosevelt model. External audits were scheduled. The Federal Civil Rights Division opened formal investigations into Title IX violations across multiple schools. VP Richardson was fired. Principal Dawson faced criminal charges for obstruction and failure to report. Tyler was expelled. Mandatory counseling, 500 hours of community service, college applications flagged with disciplinary records. Jake, Madison, and Ethan received suspensions, community service, and permanent disciplinary records. Madison's influencer career was over. Jake's athletic scholarships were rescinded. Ethan lost his student council position. But the long-term changes were what mattered most. The Education Justice Initiative expanded based on Talia's case. Her methodology became a model for investigating institutional failures in schools across 12 states. 2 weeks after the hallway incident, a man in his 50s arrived at Roosevelt High. Former Special Forces, legendary self-defense instructor, father to one daughter, Carlos Torres. He found Talia in the library, packing her belongings. "Proud of you, mija." His voice was quiet, but firm. "You used your training for justice, not revenge." "You taught me the difference," Tahilia said. Her final day at Roosevelt High was unlike her first. Students lined the hallways as she walked to the exit, not with phones raised to mock, with respect, with gratitude, with hope that maybe things could actually change. A group of freshmen approached her nervously. "Thank you," one girl whispered. "I was going to transfer. Now I think I'll stay." Talia's phone rang as she reached the parking lot. She answered, stepping into her car. The voice on the other end was professional, urgent. "Torres, we need you at Westfield High. Similar pattern. Worse evidence of violence. Can you start Monday?" She looked back at Roosevelt High one more time. Students walked to class without fear in their eyes. Teachers stood straighter. The red letterman jackets had disappeared from the hallways. "I'll be there," Talia said. That weekend, she packed for Westfield. New badge visible. Westfield High School. Student transfer. Encrypted phone fully charged. Professional camera equipment ready. A government car pulled up outside her apartment. Black sedan with official plates, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. 2 more investigators exited with boxes of Roosevelt evidence, each container labeled, sealed, ready for federal review. 6 months of work. 12 victims' voices. 1 systematic takedown. Talia watched from her window as younger students walked home from the community center across the street. They laughed freely, backpacks slung carelessly over shoulders. No one checking behind them. No one flinching at footsteps. No fear visible in their posture or pace. Mission accomplished. But her expression shifted, jaw tightening, eyes focusing on something distant, something more vigilant, more determined. This is just one school. How many more? The question hung in the air like a promise. Mike, who'd become a trusted ally over 6 months of careful coordination, handed her a thick file on Westfield before she left. The folder felt heavier than it should. Friend or foe? He pointed to a photo of Westfield's head of security, a woman in her 40s with military bearing, sharp eyes that had seen combat, and a suspicious expression that suggested she knew how to spot infiltrators. "Guess I'll find out," Talia said, tucking the file into her backpack beside her professional camera equipment. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. No caller ID, no contact name, just 8 words that changed everything. Roosevelt was just the beginning. Westfield knows you're coming. Threat or warning? Impossible to tell. The message could be from someone protecting the corrupt system or someone desperate for her help. Talia looked at the camera one last time, the slightest smile touching her face. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just quiet certainty. Some people collect yearbook signatures. I collect evidence. She tossed her blue athletic outfit into her backpack, the same outfit that had frozen Tyler mid-punch, that had revealed her training to 200 witnesses, that had become a symbol photographed 50,000 times. In the corner of the room, Tyler's red Letterman jacket sat in a trash bin, confiscated as evidence, tagged for court proceedings, symbolic of power that no longer existed. The screen faded to black as Talia drove toward Westfield, her orange braids visible in the rearview mirror, smooth strands catching the afternoon light. Her green eyes focused on the road ahead, focused on the next school, the next investigation, the next group of students who thought no one would listen. One school down. The system doesn't change overnight, but it changes one investigation at a time, one brave student at a time, one piece of evidence at a time. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, methodical, documented, and it's coming to a school near you.
The story ends here, but there are many more videos waiting for you. So, if you enjoy, please take a moment to like, subscribe to the Wrong Target Story channel, and don't forget to turn on the bell. See you in the next story.